Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this show without the express written consent of the Financial Guys, LLC is strictly prohibited.
Investment advisory services offered through Independent Solutions Wealth Management and Blackridge Asset Management, LLC. Broker Services, LLC is not an affiliate of Independent Solutions or Financial Guys, LLC.
Welcome to TFG Truth with Mike Hayflick and Mike Sprazza. Every week we will report facts, expose hypocrisy, and espouse common sense. This week, COVID.
I feel like we say that every single week. Have we not talked about COVID one time in the 7 months we've done this?
How can we not?
I know.
How can we not? It keeps getting more and more absurd, especially now with vax. You know, we've got the variant. The word was breakthroughs, right?
Oh, yes.
I love that.
That was a good one.
Breakthroughs.
Yes.
Let's see. It just evolves, right? It evolves. And so today we want to just kind of take a walk in the past, right? We're going to walk into the past, and we're going to look into the future, and we're going to try and predict, like, what's coming next then. And we kind of know, we can kind of see the writing on the wall. But, yeah, this is getting insane, right? It's about fear again. It's about power trips.
And I think, we're going to go through the timelines. I'm not going to dive into that yet. But I think everybody says, the left always says, well, these things change. Science changes.
I know.
I'm good with that. And I think we're going to start with that. But I'm okay with having to make adjustments, right? It's like a football team, right? At halftime, you make adjustments, right? In any sport. Hey, you're facing a pitcher that maybe you haven't been successful. Well, you got to make adjustments. Right. We get it. I'm okay with that. But to just keep going back and forth and flip-flopping is really the biggest issue at this point.
Yeah, like if we're using the baseball analogy, they left the pitcher in who just kept pummeling the batter.
Right.
Like they just getting hit by pitch. We were all getting hit by the pitches.
Yep.
Like pitch after pitch after pitch. We just kept getting pummeled. And they didn't switch the pitcher.
Right. Right.
They didn't change the narrative at all. Like they didn't trust the science. They didn't say, "Oh, the science will guide us and look at the data and let's start changing because of the data." And but now they say, "Well, come on, this is an evolving crisis."
Right.
So that is so convenient, isn't it?
Right.
So convenient to be able to do that. How cool is that, by the way? If you report to work every day, right? You show up and you start to sort of like you fail, right? You're not doing a very good job, and all you do is tell your boss, "Listen, come on, I'm evolving.
Right.
I mean, I get older, I might not really be up to par, but you got to give me a break."
Everybody else is failing too, so it's okay if I fail.
Come on, it's like about being a victim. It's like about not really having your own performance assessed anymore, like a realistic way.
Yep.
And there's no more consequences, right, to it. You just say, "Come on, it's evolving. This is evolving science." Why wasn't it evolving back in like the beginning of, I don't know, like summer of 2020 when things started to improve?
Why didn't it evolve a million years ago as the world's evolved, right? Like, I mean, again, how many more viruses are there going to be? I mean, there's probably
thousands.
Millions of them, right, over time. And
Right.
Guess what? Man is still here. Woman is still here. It's not like this is, I heard Mike and Ryan Norton on the podcast this week, and they were talking about Ebola, right? Like that was actually scary. 50% of people potentially died from Ebola. Like that's scary. Not 0.003 in my age bracket, right? Not 0.003 of the population, right? It's not what they're making it out to be, and that's the most frustrating part about it.
Brutal. Let's take a walk through COVID memory lane.
All right.
Here we go. Shutdowns and stay in your homes. 15 days to stop the spread. All agreed that made sense, right?
We did it.
We did. We agreed. Yep. It was like it was really weird because suddenly it was like, what? Like, what? Wait, no, where is everyone?
Right.
We were all inside. Like, there's a nasty, nasty virus. And it was weird. Yep. I remember saying, this is really weird. Like, and they said, you cannot leave your home, right?
Yep.
I mean, we couldn't even go out and drive.
It was essential businesses.
Essential, yes, the essentials.
That's another word we got to throw in there, essential.
Yes.
So, yes, it was essential businesses and essential travel for, shopping for food or whatever.
Right, which was really strange. Like, the only time I ever remember doing like that kind of stuff was because of big snowstorms,
right.
blizzards, like, big weather crises, right? All right, so that was cool. Then what? Flatten the curve, right? So flatten the curve of what? Hospitalizations. Remember the fear of respirators being in short supply?
Yep.
And Trump he literally came through, and here we are in New York. Remember, he opened up that hospital ship. He got the hospital ship up the coast. It was going to sometimes take weeks to get that type of ship up there. He got it there in days.
Yep.
Never used.
Yep.
The park, remember the park in New York? They turned that
Central
into
Park,
a
Central
hospital.
Park. Yep.
Basically turned it into a hospital. That was barely used.
Yep.
They never did run out of respirators, right?
And even that part, the majority of people said, okay, we'll go along with this a little
Right.
bit. If we have to bring in more nurses, doctors,
Exactly.
fine. If we have to, do whatever we have to do to get it done, fine. That was in the early part of the summer or spring and summer, right? We're still okay there. All right.
Absolutely.
Let's flatten the curve.
Flatten the curve of hospitalizations and deaths.
Yep.
And that was a big deal, right?
Yep.
People were dying. We saw the daily CNN death count.
Of course.
Right? We actually still see that. It's still on. Like
Yeah.
if you happen to go through those stations, you can't stay on too long, but there literally is still in that corner of the screen.
And not to jump ahead, I agree that it's still there, but it seems that the death count is not their narrative anymore.
No.
Right? That's no more the narrative.
No, you got to watch the little headings.
Yeah.
Daily Cuomo news conferences where our hearts would flutter whenever we'd see our Emperor Cuomo there in front of everyone like we are.
And his nice graphs.
And his graphs and his scripted PowerPoint presentations and his words of wisdom and words of inspiration and words of hope. Oh, by the way, while he's not revealing all the true data,
Yep.
he's not really, and he's also creating posters
Yep.
and he's writing books and making $5 million. All the while, everyone is just swooning over our wonderful governor. And what's happening with that whole investigation now?
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
We'll get to that.
Great.
Yeah.
So we start thinking this is getting old. Come on, we need an answer here. We need answers. We've got to get back to normal, right? And once we could, we did start to get back to normal. And, funny, we actually grew. Our businesses grew and grew and grew because we said, people still need help. My God, yes, we are protecting and we're waiting to see how this thing evolves, but people still needed protection on the home and auto and property casualty side of life. They still needed their wealth to be overseen. Some people still feared, what's going to happen in the markets? That doesn't go away. Just like fentanyl over the border didn't go away.
Right.
Just like overdoses and suicides, that stuff never went away, right? Because they were looking at COVID in a box. Lomas always says, you can't look at COVID in a box. Oh my God, there's other things in life.
And I think that's a difference between us and government, right? Government went with the, you always say, the easy approach, right?
Yep,
There's
super
this
easy.
harder way over here and the easy, let's go the easy way, right? And their idea was just shut everything down.
Yep.
And we took a different approach, smartly, I might add, and I hate to, give us, too much credit here, but we said we're going to open our business, but we're just not going to have clients in the building, right?
Right.
So we decided to just do what we had to do to get the job done and do it safely and not suffer. I feel because we can do this stuff, restaurants can't, right? You can't have a restaurant that doesn't have people in it. That's not a good business
Right.
model. And they had no choice at that point. We'll get to that in a second.
Right,
but
right.
I think that's the difference between people like us and maybe people in the government, that they just choose the easiest approach or and for them it's easy because they're collecting a paycheck, right? Exactly. Shut the businesses down.
Shut
We're
the
okay.
businesses down and get overtime, right?
Yeah. Oh.
We're going to be working overtime, folks, to help you as you are hunkered down, not allowed to leave your house, not allowed to open your businesses, not allowed to report to work. But we hear it in the government. We're here for you, right? So then Trump, he boldly, it really was bold, announces Operation Warp Speed. Gets mocked about it. The never Trumpers say, are you going to trust a vaccine that Trump's administration promotes and creates? And who said no? Right away, right?
Right.
We got Slow Joe. We got cackling Harris, right? Cackling Kamala saying, "Oh, come on! There's no way. We're not gonna take a vaccine that this Trump is promoting." Even Cuomo, right? He says, "Well, we'll have our own independent testing." We're not
I
gonna...
trust his independence. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because we can all completely trust Emperor Cuomo. There's no question. He's a man of high morals,
Integrity.
I think his middle name might be Integrity, right?
Yep.
So don't trust Trump's vaccine, right? Because it's Trump.
Or his approach, period. Remember, anything that he said throughout that whole thing, oh, look at him up there. He just wants to talk and hear himself, talk out loud. Everything from the very beginning, even, by the way, his notes on the origins of this virus,
right,
which have come to be true, right? They didn't want to hear any of that, right? He's a xenophobe. It's all,
The China virus. Stop calling it the China virus.
Right. And let me go back, too, by the way, to before the shutdown started, Nancy Pelosi in the middle of Chinatown, if you remember, saying, oh, don't worry about it. Come out with all your kids and come out here, right? As Trump was saying, no, we should probably close this down a little bit, shut down travel. That's before what we were even talking about. And Trump was, again, correct. And the left didn't see it that way. No,
and Mayor de Blasio, right? He was saying, come on, like everything's fine. New York City's open, man. We're open. Everything's going to be fine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so let's see. Summer 2020, right? We get through spring, summer, still trying to flatten a curve, right?
Yep.
Summer of love.
Oh, yeah.
Summer of love and looting. Yep. That's what we were all about. And not a Democrat would say a word about it. Right?
Well, we're protesting, Mike, because there's a cause here.
It was peaceful protesting while the fires are burning behind the reporters.
Fiery, but mostly peaceful.
Some of this was just priceless, really. I mean, so the Chaz, the chop, I think we called it the crap.
Yep.
I can't remember what we said crap stood for, but Seattle, we had Chaz, chop, crap, whatever they called their basically it was like the autonomous zone.
The shanty town.
Where they needed signs that said, hey, Mom and Dad, please bring us water. We could use more phones. You go, please, hey, in the basement next to my bed, I left a notepad of other things that I'm supposed to do because they tell me things I'm supposed to do when I'm in the autonomous zone. Yep. Can you bring my pad too? All right, thank you, Mom. It's in the basement. Right on the bedstand that I built, because I don't work, so I had a lot of time. You'll see it.
The autonomous zone's list of demands. It's the absolute opposite of what an autonomous zone would be, right? You can't demand things when you're supposed to be living free on your own, right?
Yeah. Can you bring the Oreo cookies too, please? And the little jugs, those nice little flavor jugs I like. What are those called? Yeah, like
Huggies.
Yeah, but bring up case of Huggies too, Mom, please. While I peacefully protest and I don't allow law enforcement in.
And I had this debate with some family last night, not to jump off topic, but
I'm impressed you knew the Huggies.
Yeah, I loved Huggies as a kid. They were great. They actually have these drinks downtown where they're vodka infused Huggies that are amazing.
Wow.
But not to jump off topic, I had this debate with family recently, but the summer of 2022 with all of the rioting, all of the looting, people forget they held up the police station. If you remember, I believe it was in Seattle, right? They would not let people in and out of that police station, right? Rand Paul was getting pretty much beaten up, right? Yep. Going from place to place. People forget that. They talk about this insurrection on January 6th. I don't care if it's a government building, if it's a police building, or if it's the general public in your country. It's all the same.
Right.
If you're going to call one an insurrectionist, they're all an insurrectionist. And what the best part about the summer of 2020 is this was when the COVID was booming, as they said, right? I thought we were all supposed to be, social distance. Oh, but you know what, Mike? They had masks on when they were protesting, so masks are fine. If you have a mask on, it'll solve all. That was their excuse to why it was okay.
COVID didn't spread during those protests.
God, no. No, God, no.
COVID is not, really, COVID is just about attacking people. It's not about attacking the peaceful protesters.
Right.
They look for the right people to attack these COVID viruses.
As Mike Loma said, smartest virus in history.
Smartest virus in history. Just knows who to go. Probably stayed out of the chop zone altogether, in fact.
Yep.
So they had no masks. Basically, no law enforcement was required there, right? And we see where that's taken us. The defund the police chants, right? It was all like defund. Yep. And so then we move into fall, right? Not really. Here we are thinking, okay, schools say no kids allowed, basically, unless you said unless the bodysuits are worn.
Yep.
Bodysuits, you don't, but basically like hazmat suits, right?
Yep.
The kids would have to be in hazmat suits. Of course, that wouldn't happen. And so we're still not there. We need to wait for the vaccine, right? Wait for the vaccine.
Right.
Wait till there's enough people with the vaccine in their bodies, right?
Depends on whose vaccine, though.
Right.
A Trump vaccine, we're not going to wait for. We don't want that one.
Right. Isn't this about when the data starts coming out, though, too? Like the flatten the curve thing? We had done that.
Yep.
There were far fewer hospitalizations, far fewer deaths.
Yep.
We flatten the curve. Now they start changing what the curve is actually about, right?
Right.
And it goes from basically deaths to cases, right? We want to know, all right, like how many people got it, right? We're talking, that's coming, right?
Right.
But kids aren't allowed in school, so now everyone's got to scramble. Parents got to scramble. Teachers really start to, like at the union level, they start saying, we're not going in those buildings.
Right.
We need to be kept safe, right? So union leadership, of course, is saying we need to keep our teachers safe. Well, of course, we got to educate kids, but the districts, they better figure this out.
Yep.
So how do they figure it out? Well, remote learning, right?
Yep.
So all these kids, they're all like, this always got me. I have a lot of clients, of course, in their 60s, 70s, some of them, many of them retired now. Grandparents would say, oh my gosh, my house had turned into, Smith Academy because now I've got 2 grandkids in the den and 1 in the kitchen and 1's using the bedroom. They're all at the grandparents' homes. The most vulnerable people have to take in the kids while the parents actually go to work, if they're the essential workers, right? And I'm thinking, how absurd is this? Kids are safe. Like, what is the number for kids to get hurt
the death rate for children, survival rate for children is 99.998%.
Okay. So, I mean, you can't even do the math. Like 2 out of 10,000 could die of COVID.
Right.
And
those numbers, again, not to be, but who knows what these numbers are, right? I mean, you know they're putting death certificates of people dying of COVID that died of gunshot wounds or run over by a car or overdosed, right?
That's right.
You know that because it's proven that they've done that.
Yep. So all that starts happening, and so kids are not going to school. And then what? They'll never make it back fully in person, right? That's what they're saying. They're saying, you know what? Now we're going to let parents decide. Do you want to just keep them at home, right? And the power trip has to continue, Mike. I mean, these politicians, they start to feel it, slipping away.
And Cuomo's a great example of that. He still has emergency powers.
Right.
Still.
And then it's all about be patient, folks. Come on, we got to protect society here, right? Sporting events, concerts, restaurants, fitness centers.
Close them.
Everything's still closed. There's just no way. And then I think some states started to say enough of this. And everyone is like bashing, like the Floridas, the Texases, right?
Arizona's, yep.
Yeah, like, oh my God, like this is like a death sentence. They're look at what they're doing to these citizens. Oh, they're going to pay. Well, what then? Slow Joe wins. Slow Joe wins the election. COVID distribution is now in Slow Joe's hands, folks, right?
Thank God.
It's his job.
Thank you.
But Trump succeeded, right? He got 3 companies. He got Moderna, he got Pfizer, he got Johnson & Johnson. They all created vaccines under his watch. But now Slow Joe says everyone needs to get vaccinated. That's how we're going to solve this problem. So, all right. Okay, Slow Joe, let's try and roll out a vaccine.
And here's the thing. Let's go back to this for a second. Kamala and Joe both said less than 3 months prior to that, right?
Right.
No. We need science and data to show the vaccine and its health issues or health concerns of the vaccine. That was not like 4 years ago, guys. That was a few months before he all of a sudden started pushing the vaccine. And to me,
to get elected. He wants to get elected.
Of course. And again, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not a pro-vaxxer. I'm just me, a 29-year-old, thinking I'm a healthy guy. I'm not getting the damn thing.
Yep.
But you got to look at it. I couldn't, even for my own parents, for my wife, myself, I can't put that in my body right now without knowing years of data on that. We don't know anything right now.
I know.
And we're still almost a year into the vaccine. We don't know anything.
Right. And it's because a lot of my skepticism is because of people like Slow Joe and cackling Kamala. I mean, here they are. Like they're supposed to be the ones in charge. Like they're supposed to have all this stuff at their fingertips. Like they should know all this stuff, right? But I don't trust any of them.
Yep.
I don't trust Fauci. I think Fauci became a much wealthier guy and a much more popular guy. Powerful guy, and it went to his head. And he has, I just don't think he has any clue what to tell people anymore. It's however the wind is blowing whenever he's in front of a camera now. And I mean, he's probably a very bright guy, and thank him for his service and all that. But at this point in his life, he is the worst advocate for anyone who's thinking, should I get a vaccine or should I not? Because people that are getting vaccinated now are being told, you know what? You're going to probably have to wear masks again.
And by the way, let me go back like 12 bullet points here. This is the same guy, Dr. Fauci, that openly mocked mask wearing right before the pandemic really started going, right? He openly mocked it and said, this type of stuff, masks don't work. It's not how... Look...
And they don't. I mean, really.
But here's my point. Whether they do or they don't work, that's fine. But like you're acting as if you have all this data to show masks don't work, and then all of a sudden masks do work. Like you would think, as the top doctor in the United States, you would know that, and that wouldn't change in 2 months.
Right.
And again, that's not a follow the science thing. That should be proven already, right? Exactly. If masks were the end all be all, that should be proven already, and you shouldn't have to waffle on that one and go back and forth.
Right. So Joe's doing this rollout, right? And he starts saying, this is going to take some time. And I love that, right? That's an easy way to just stay in control. Yep. Hey,
keep patient, folks.
Be patient. Hey, this is, things evolve. This is going to take time. This is going to be painful.
Yeah.
Right.
4th of July.
He'd say, oh yeah, So all of a sudden, the flat curve for deaths, hospitalizations, it flattens even further, by the way. But now it's about numbers of cases. Now it's the cases. Cases watch. Cases to me is just, it's goofy, because if we've got it under control, if people get COVID, fight off COVID, develop antibodies for COVID, that's actually good, right? Like healthier people who get it, overcome it, they are now far, far more equipped, far better equipped. And I think reports are showing they're far better equipped than people who just never got COVID but got the vaccine.
Well, Mike,
right?
Natural immunity, though.
Right.
That's not a thing here. There's no such thing as natural immunity.
No, since the beginning of time, natural immunity has been how we all survive, right? We all live up. Hopefully, natural causes take us maybe in our late 80s, maybe even 90s.
Yeah.
Why? Because of natural immunity. I mean, every day we're exposed to probably hundreds of germs, and our bodies go, hey, you get a little bit of stuffed up nose and you get a little sore throat, and then it goes away, right? Or whatever. I mean, every day our bodies are combating viruses, just like this one.
And the problem is, to go back to the beginning, we all said we knew this was attacking the elderly. We knew this was attacking maybe people that were obese. We knew this was attacking people with pre-existing conditions who had autoimmune issues. That's the people that you say stay home. That's the people that you say, hey, if you're married to someone that has an autoimmune, maybe you should work from home, right? Maybe your kids should be at home doing learning at home or something, right? It's not everyone, like you always say.
And that's where the simple complex thing comes back. Like the simple way was just to say everybody. Right. Because there will be this vulnerable part of our population that could be really impacted and die from this. Like people in nursing homes, by the way, people in assisted living centers, like my mom. My mom did not die, thank God. She actually overcame COVID and had some issues. And thankfully, it never got so bad that she had to even go into the hospital for it, but stayed quarantined. They treated her. Oh, and by the way, I think I had told you this. I looked back into her medications. I don't think my mom would care that I'm telling anyone this, by the way. But she had hydroxychloroquine for years for the rheumatoid arthritis issues. She happened to be on hydroxychloroquine when she got COVID. I'm not saying I can't prove that she survived COVID because she was on that drug, but I'll tell you what, I have to think that plus maybe the other cocktail of other medications she's on helped her get through COVID, and she did not die. She actually made it, didn't have to go on a respirator, never left the assisted living center. But I guess my point is this. The most vulnerable people, we could have protected them far, far better than we did.
Not throwing sick people in nursing homes.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you said, you didn't have to put a big blanket solution over everybody and see everybody stay home. Everybody starts basically losing income. Businesses start shutting down and everything. And schools are closed. Kids needed to be there to learn. There's so many kids that are so far further behind now. So basically, the simple approach was taken because it's simple. That's what people in leadership sometimes do, especially in government. And now what? People started fighting back. They said, enough. We have certain guys like Robbie De Niro, Cole Beasley in the NFL here in our hometown Buffalo for Buffalo Bills. Cole Beasley says, stop, like enough. Don't tell me what to put in my body. I'd rather quit and retire from the NFL before you guys start making me do these things. Robbie De Niro wins the lawsuit, gets to open his fitness center.
And what I'm so sick of with this whole thing too is, you know, the left brings these, oh, did you see that 24-year-old that died of COVID? Oh my God, this is what can happen. But
Right.
that can happen with anything, right? There's a 22-year-old that gets a brain tumor and can die, right?
Yes.
Like it just happens. It's
does.
unfortunate, and it's actually,
Right.
to be honest with you, it's very sad, the circle of life, right?
It is.
You're born into this world. Some people are born healthy, some are not.
Yep.
Some people are born with diseases or you know, cancers or, you know, ailments. Some are not. It's sad. It's the circle of life. You know, a 45-year-old father of 3 dies of a heart attack all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's you know, I had a kid I went to college with. His dad passed away from a heart attack when he was in like 8th grade. That's sad. You don't hear that stuff all the time, but it's sad, right? And there's nothing you can do, no matter how healthy you try and be, no matter how much vaccinations you get.
Right.
You're not going to solve all these problems, and that's why they got to stop taking the outlier and making it the this is how it works. Right? I mean,
Yep. No, but it's easy to do that. And,
Right.
it still instills more fear and anxiety in people. And that's exactly what they hope for. And before you know it, you've got a whole bunch of people like living in fear, afraid to leave their homes, driving their cars alone with masks, double masking, right? That became a thing.
The double masking.
I mean, the double masking, like one mask might not be enough. Double mask up, put the shield on, maybe wear safety goggles. And then even if you're vaccinated, you're going to have to maybe do these things. And people start going, wait a second, you know, Slow Joe, Cackling Kamala, they said they would never even take these vaccines, right? You know, not if it was a rollout because of Trump and Operation Warp Speed. Now they're in power. Like, why should I believe them? Why should I go get vaccinated now? Mr. Fauci, I won't even call him doctor because I feel like he's not even a doctor anymore. Fauci starts going every which way, like wear a mask, don't wear masks, or they're silly. Wear masks, get vaccinated, double mask, wear masks indoors, outdoors, every which way, right? Mask, mask, mask. And now, I mean, he just keeps switching his narrative. Who on earth would trust this guy and then go get vaccinated? So they created what our Governor Cuomo is calling vaccine hesitancy, right? Another wonderful phrase. Keep saying it enough. They're hoping everyone's going to forget how we got here. Who on earth wouldn't have vaccine hesitancy with all these people in charge?
And what's funny with these masks too is, excuse me, what's hilarious with these masks, if you see the people wearing the bandanas around their face, because that happens too, right?
Yeah.
By the way, folks, those don't work. That's not a mask, right? That is not a mask. Right. That doesn't work, right? You know, people don't. We've created a society of just, you always say it, the fear mongering and the you know. We already have hypochondriacs left and right in our country, right? This stuff doesn't help. And you look at I always laugh about the mask, the people that wore the bandanas or the people that wore the sheet on their face. That's not a mask. And to be honest with you, most normal masks, like the doctor's ones, don't work. And, you know, maybe the N95s work. I'll give you those ones because those are industrial grade masks. But they don't. And part of my problem with it too is, sorry to jump around here, but it's an image thing. You see these people driving in their car by themselves with the I almost said the F. Kelsey, we got to retool that one. with the friggin' mask by yourself in a car. Like you're not, the motor's not going to get you sick. Your front left tire's not going to get you sick. Right? Like stop with the image thing. Stop with the mask with your favorite sports team out. Like come on.
You know what's funny is a lot of people, I think, are very much, I don't know, I won't say they have like disorders, but they're more, I think, inclined to be like aware of germs. Like, so people in the medical profession, I think they're so used to like wash, clean, hand sanitizer and all that in and out of offices, right? If you're ever in a doctor's office, you know, the first thing they do is they wash their hands. They probably have that little squirt thing outside their office doors. But that's part of their lives, right? They have to stay germ-free because they do, like on a normal basis. They're taking care of sick people that might be going into surgeries, all that stuff, and they don't want to get sick and they don't want to take it home to their family. So that's normal. But then there are the people who are just overly like, oh, you know, keep your distance, right? They're normally like that, like even before COVID, right? But then think about like this. What if any of our government leaders also were like that? And then COVID comes and they hear everyone's going to have to wear masks. Everyone's going to have to wash their hands, hand sanitize every which way, everywhere, right? They actually liked that, right? People that already have this sort of inclination or I will say maybe even like the disorder of clean. I need to stay clean. Yep. Like, get away from me. Don't hug me. Don't touch me. They actually were the ones in power in many cases. And this is something, I think it was Ari Fleischer. I was watching a show and he brought this up. He said, you try and take away that power now from people who already have that disorder. Now the disorder is on steroids, right? Because they see everyone masked up and they're like, they're breathing a sigh of relief. Like, we're safe. Everyone's going to be safe now. Everyone's got to wash hands and all that. And to get vaccinated. Well, you start taking masks off, these people are freaking out, right? Yeah. So I think a lot of people are freaking out. They're going, get away from me. I'm like, I've just got to go get a new furnace filter. I'm at Home Depot, and they're literally like steering clear of me. I'm like, what on earth is going on here? I think that's part of it.
I saw a guy last weekend. I actually spoke about this on the radio show with Mike and Glenn when I called in for my segment, but I saw a guy driving his rider mower outside with gloves on and a mask on. Okay. There's not a person within a million feet of the guy. I drove by him at 45 miles an hour. He wasn't getting it from my car. I had my windows up. I'm like, what are you doing?
So is it allergy related, do you think?
No, I don't think so.
I texted you. I'm like, come on, give him a break. He's got allergies.
Glenn responded with, I might start wearing a mask everywhere for my allergies. Like,
that's the guy.
But it's like, come on. Like, just it's...
Yeah,
it's frustrating.
That's those that want to give you the message of I'm helping society.
The Almighty.
I'm creating a safe environment, even for myself on the lawnmower.
It's unreal.
I'll never forget the one was a woman driving in her smart car, and I just laugh when I see the smart cars. I think of those clown cars, and God, if you have a smart car, I don't care. I don't. But I see a woman in her smart car alone with a mask on, and I took a picture. I've got my phone. I'm like, click, and I just thought that was so funny. Like, the smart car reminds me of the clown cars where 18 clowns get out of this tiny little car. But yeah, I think we're always going to have these people. So where are we going, right? Government is soon now to be requiring vaccinations for everyone, right? Yep. Where do we think things are going? And I think, I'll tell you what, in about 3 months, when we look back and we maybe re-listen to this show, we're going to probably see more shutdowns. Schools, they're going to still have fully masked students. Yep. Even if they were vaccinated, right? Even if. Yep. Oh, yeah. Unions, I think unions will basically still refuse to go to work. They're still going to say, nope, we're not going. You didn't modify the schools enough. The filtration systems are not enough. You didn't do enough for ventilation. You're not doing enough to keep all these kids away from us. We're vulnerable. Yep. We can't be there. Yep. And then what happens, and this is a really bad byproduct, they can't really teach that well from a distance. Yep. They can't assess how the students are actually doing from a distance. They can't really assess the emotional and the other impacts of the students from home, right? They don't understand that they've got socially inept kids being, basically harbored at their homes.
Yep.
They're getting further and further from like an inclination to want to learn. I mean, there's so many bad consequences of this. I think in the future we're really going to see the tremendous impact of COVID, like 2020, 2021, probably now into 2022.
And I want to just go back because I want to go back. We listed a few things here on so where are we right now?
Yeah.
Forget the future for a second.
Oh, yeah,
right
yeah.
now, right? Unvaccinated are the problem. So CNN doctor, I forget her name, said that we all need to be punished. And I'll come out and tell you, I'm not vaccinated, right? So
Yeah.
I need to be punished.
Make it uncomfortable for us.
Right. We're going to start going door to door to administer vaccines now. That's a new thing. We're going to go door to door, and we're not going to push you. We're just going to educate you. Okay, if I don't know now, I'm probably, no matter what spiel you give me for an hour,
Right.
I'm not going to do it. Right? The variants, like you said, the variants back,
variants.
the new variants, not back. Remasking, re-social distancing, punishing us, the unvaccinated, mass. And here's the best part: mass indoor now for even the vaccinated. So what is your pitch to the unvaccinated? Right. Right.
Go get the shot.
Go live that sucky life that you've been
Don't
living.
throw out your masks.
Right. Get out of town. I mean,
Continue to live the sucky life you live.
right.
But you'll have the vaccine.
right. And then on top of it, you got Cuomo getting off the hook. They're not even investigating him on the nursing home scandal anymore. You got Dr. Gail Bernstein in Erie County collecting $400,000 of overtime. I mean,
so everything will continue for those folks.
Yeah.
But nothing's going to change for
Right.
you. I love that. Continue to live your sucky life.
Yep.
Because it's not going to get any better if we follow this leadership.
And no more my body, my choice too. That was
No. It's your body, our choice.
Yes. Yeah.
No, it just never gets any better. I mean, and now what do we got coming? We got midterm elections.
Yep.
We can talk about election fraud another time, but I don't know. I think it's going to be overwhelming. I do. I'm an optimist, so I think that the conservatives out there, starting with the moms and the dads at home who need their kids and want their kids at school again, and the changeover of leadership on school boards, on city councils, right? I think that's where it's going to continue, and I think at some point, I think this is all going to backfire. I do. I think the woke and the cancel culture and the never Trumpers and all that, I think they're going to look back and go, oh my God, we overplayed our hand.
I've been very optimistic in years past on most things. Yeah. I will say I'm starting to lean towards the pessimistic side for things like censorship and monitoring our text messages about the COVID vaccine and whatnot that they're planning on doing as well. I don't know where it ends, because these power hungry people, they're doing things, and our podcast was maybe going to be this week, what is communism and what does that look like? One thing of communism would be censorship of your media, so only what the government wants you to hear, you hear.
Right.
And another would be going door to door to tell people to do things, right? And we're hitting on those two things right now as we speak.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a little bit pessimistic, and
Yep. Make life uncomfortable for those who choose not to get the vaccine.
or do what you want them to do.
And by the way, if we had COVID, aren't we like even stronger than those that basically didn't get COVID and have the vaccine? Like, if I had COVID, which I may have, I mean, I've had moments over the last year and a half where I'm like, man, I am not right.
Yep.
And even tested myself for COVID. I didn't have it said, but I swear I had certain features of it. But if I had it and now have antibodies, aren't I even like, I'm like Captain America right now.
No, because natural immunity doesn't work here. So you're not captain of anything.
Damn it. I got to keep up with the science, and I just seem to not. So,
And that's one thing to end on. Folks, follow the numbers. And the numbers say that if you get the virus, you're probably going to make it, right? You're probably going to make it. The stats show for anyone between 0 and 70, let's say, you have better than a 99.94% chance of beating it.
Yep.
And if you're younger, it's 99.998% chance of beating it.
yeah. And every day with more experience with this, those true heroes, the frontline workers, those people in ERs, the people like the nurses, the doctors, all of these people have a much better handle on how to treat you. So if you got 29-year-old Mike, 39-year-old Mike, me, Okay, not quite. But if we go into the hospital and we're presenting these conditions, they know exactly what to do for us now. Right? If you have diabetes, if you're overweight, if you have COPD, any of these things that are make you more vulnerable for this, you're probably going to get treated very well, and your chances of needing a respirator, going on respirators, or dying are far, far better than when this first started, right? Yep. So let's give the medical profession some credit. I mean, they've experienced these things. They know how to treat us. So it's even far, far less likely that you're going to perish from this. But it just won't matter. It's all about power. Yeah. We've got to get these people out of these positions of power. We've got to stand up, like the Robbie De Niro's. We all have to stand up.
And before we end, I think the biggest issue right now is no matter what happens out there, they're blaming the unvaccinated. So my question would be, if everybody gets vaccinated, will it actually end? Because I don't think it will, right? There'll still be variants out there than this and that and the other, right? Because they're just the easy approach right now, again, back to the simple approach is, those unvaccinated idiots, it's their fault. Those morons. Yep. I mean, who doesn't want the vaccine? Why wouldn't you get it, right? That's the easiest approach. And Joe pretty much is saying, I'm going to make you get it whether you like it or not. His government employees are going to have it. They're going door to door to give it to other people. I mean, the NFL's making it almost impossible to be an unvaccinated player or coach because 2 coaches have been let go recently for that. They're doing everything they can to force things on you. And again, not taking the complex approach, but taking the simple one that, the unvaccinated morons, they're the reason for this whole thing.
If everyone gets vaccinated, every single human being on Earth got vaccinated, it will be something different.
Yep.
They'll pivot to yet another reason that they need to tell you what to do.
Yep. Like climate change or gun control.
Variants, breakthrough cases, all these different phrases you hear. So please, again, use common sense. Try to find the facts and live off of facts, not on all these farces that these politicians try to throw upon us. Yeah. Oh, we could go on and on, but we have to call it quits this week, folks. So
maybe we'll have a new topic next week. Maybe there'll be a new one.
God, can we replace COVID? We went from COVID and critical race theory to simply COVID. We do have to cover another C, the communism. I mean, we have to.
I think that's
where you keep saying, like, when's it going to end? Yeah. And if it doesn't end, it's going to keep creeping towards socialism first, then communism, and then we're going to be told, don't worry, we're going to do it well. We're not going to do it like some of those regimes like North Korea and China. Don't you worry, we'll be better at it.
Remember when they said that Donald Trump was a totalitarian dictator?
Right.
And now there's the president telling us we must do things. You have to do this.
Yeah. Who's the dictator now?
Yeah.
Sounds like Slow Joe's becoming the dictator.
Or somebody behind.
Well, the puppet master behind Slow Joe. All right. Well, anyway, for Mike Spraz, I'm Mike Hayflick. That's the end of our TFG Truth episode this week. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Don't forget to find the Financial Guys podcast, too, with Mike Lomas and Glenn Wiggle. Always fun. We will be back next week.